This is the Edexcel Foundation Tier Paper 2 Calculator paper from June 2023. Question 1. Write 6,184 correct to the nearest hundred. So we've got the thousands, then hundreds, then tens, then ones. And whenever we're rounding, we look at the next digit. So we're in the hundreds, we want the next one, which is an 8. It is 5 or above, so we round up. So it goes to 6,200. So it's closer to 6,200 than it is to 6,100. So to the nearest 100, 6,200. Question 2, write 0.7 as a fraction. So we've got the ones and we've got the tenths. So this is 7 tenths. And we can also use the calculator for this one. If we just type in 0.7, it will convert it to a fraction for us, 7 tenths. Question 3, change 9 meters into centimeters. Each 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So 9 meters is 900 centimeters. Question 4, simplify 3 times 4t. 3 times 4 is 12. So 3 times 4t is 12t. 4t means 4 times t. So it's 3 times 4 times t. So we can times the 3 and the 4 together. And then it's 12 times t. We don't write the times, just 12t. Question 5, here's a list of numbers. Which one is a multiple of 25? Which one is in the 25 times table? So 25, 50, 75, 100. 100 is 4 lots of 25. Question 6. Shari has a fair ordinary dice. She rolls the dice once. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability Shari gets the number 7. There is no 7 on an ordinary dice, so there is no chance of getting a 7. 0. What's the chance of getting an even number? So half the numbers on the dice are even. 2, 4, and 6 are even. So 3 out of 6, 1 half. Half of them, there's a half chance, 50%. Question 7. Here is a triangle. The triangle is accurately drawn. Measure the length of AC. So we grab our ruler. We want 0 to be on A, and then measure how far away C is. It looks like 9.3. We've got 9.3 centimeters. Measure the size of angle B. So we grab our protractor. So we want to line up the 0 with angle B. Can't see it properly. Let me quickly draw over it. That might help. So we're lining up 0 with B. I'll do it this way around. I'll line it up on this side. And we measure round, so it looks like we have 105. 105. Maybe 106. But either one. So there's a range of answers that are acceptable. 106 is actually what it says in the mark scheme, but it's anything from 104 to 108, which is acceptable as the answer. And here is a different triangle. Q to P equals Q to R. So these two lengths are equal. Write down the name of this triangle. So when 2 lengths are equal, it's called an isosceles triangle. Question 8. The diagram shows 3 motorway service stations. P, Q, and R on a map. The map has a scale of 1 centimeter is 4 kilometers. What's the real distance from P to R? So each centimeter is 4 kilometers. So 8 times 4 is 32. And 16 times 4 is 64. So in total, we've got 32 plus 64, which is 96 kilometers. Question 9. Here are the first 5 terms of a sequence. What's the next term? So it's going up by 5 each time, plus 5, plus 5, plus 5, plus 5. So plus 5 again, we get 28. Write down the ratio of the second term to the fourth term. So the second term is 8. The fourth term is 18. So it's 8 to 18. We need to give it in its simplest form. So let's simplify. If we half them both, we've got 4 to 9. And then 4 and 9 aren't in the same times table, or apart from the ones. So that is the simplest form. This graph can be used to find the cost of parking a car for up to 12 hours. Use the graph to find the cost of parking a car for 4 hours. So we find 4 hours, go up to the line, and then across, and we read off the cost, which is £6. Justin drives into the car park at 8 in the morning. When he drives out, he has to pay £9. So again, £9. How long is that in the car park? That is 6 hours. So we know he stayed for 6 hours. And he went in at 8 in the morning. So 8 plus 6 is 14. So he goes out at 1400 hours or 2 p.m. We could, of course, use the calculator for this. So 8 hours, no minutes, plus 6 hours and 0 minutes takes us to 14 hours and 0 minutes. So either 1400 or 2 p.m. The table shows information about the weights of people in a hotel lift. Show that the total weight of all the people is less than 1,200 kilograms. So one person weighing 40 grams, so times them. 1 times 40 kilograms is 40 kilograms. 2 50s make 100. 4 60s, remember you can use a calculator, but 4 60s is 240 kilograms. 5 70s, 350 kilograms. 3 80s, 240 kilograms. And 190 is 90 kilograms. So we just add them all together. 40, 100, 240, 350, 240, and 90. We get 1,060 kilograms. So 1060 is less than 1,200. And that is all we had to show. We could have done it all in one calculation, but we would have had to write down our working, because it does say show that. And we get the same answer. Question 12. Shape A is reflected in a mirror line. To give shape B, draw the mirror line. So we've got a diagonal mirror line here. Straight down like that. So we can see this green point is one diagonal away. Same on both sides. This red one, 1, 2.5, half, 1, 2. And this blue one, 1, 2.5, half, 1, 2. The same distance away from the line on both sides. Part B. Alex is asked to reflect shape P in the x-axis, and he hasn't. Here is a diagram Alex draws. Explain the mistake Alex has made. So he's reflected it in the y-axis. So that's just what we need to write. He reflected the shape in the y-axis. Question 13. There are 50 teachers in a school. This is 1/16 of the total number. Work out the total number of people in the school. So 1/16 of the total is 50. So to find the whole number, we need to times it by 16. So 50 times 16. So there are 16 parts. One of them is teachers. The other 15 is students. So the total is 50 times 16, which is 800. So there are 800 people, 50 are teachers, and 50 is 1/16 of 800. Packets of sweets are put into boxes. Each packet is a cuboid, 80 millimeters by 60 millimeters by 20 millimeters. Each box is a cuboid 72 centimeters by 48 centimeters by 24 centimeters. So we've got different dimensions here. Let's just change the packet into 8 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 2 centimeters. So each 10 millimeters is the same as 1 centimeter. So how many of these can we fit in? So we can just pack them in. So how many can we fit across? How many go across? 72 divided by 8, which is 9. So we can fit 9 in along the bottom. Going back, we've got 48 divided by 6. 48 divided by 6 is 8. So we can fit 8 in going back. And going up, we've got 24 centimeters divided by 2, which means we can get 12 on top of each other. So we've got 9 times 8, 9 along, 8 back. So on the base, we've got 9 times 8, and then we've got 12 of them stacked on top. So it's 9 times 8 times 12, and that is 864. Question 15. Here is a fair ordinary dice and a fair 8-sided spinner. Charlie throws the dice once and spins the spinner once. Is Charlie more likely to get a number less than 3 on the dice? So for the dice, less than 3, so that's only 1 and 2. So there's 2 options out of 6. So that's the same as 1/3. Greater than 5 on the spinner. There are 3 options greater than 5 out of 8 in total. So 3/8. So we're just comparing these two numbers. 1/3 is 0.3 recurring. And 3/8, we'll convert that to a decimal, 0.375. So which is bigger? 0.375 is bigger. So the answer is a number greater than 5 on the spinner. Question 16. Paolo drives at an average speed of 56 kilometers per hour for 1 hour 45 minutes. Work out the distance Paolo drives. So speed is equal to distance divided by time. So distance, if we times both sides by time, equals speed times time. You might also see this as a formula triangle. So if we're working out distance, cover over the distance, speed times time. So we want to do speed times time. The speed is 56 kilometers per hour. We want to times it by the time, 1 hour 45 minutes. I don't want to write 1.45. I want to write 45 minutes as a fraction ideally. Or I could do my 1 hour 45 minutes and change it to a decimal using the time button, 1.75. Or, so I want 1.75. The other way of doing that, 45 minutes, it's 45 sixtieths of an hour. There are 60 minutes in an hour, which is 3/4 of an hour, 0.75. So 1 3/4 or 1.75. So distance is speed times time, and I want 56 times 1.75, which is 98. So 98 kilometers. Question 17. There are 3 cinemas, A, B, and C. The mean number of seats per cinema is 380. So if there are 3 cinemas, the mean number of seats is 380. That means the total number of seats is 3 times 380. And that is 1,140. So there's 1,140 seats in total. There are 350 in A, 250 in B. How many are in C? So 1,140, take away the 350 and the 250. And we get 540. So there are 540 seats in Cinema C. Question 18. Asher buys 180 cans of cola. The cans are sold in packs, 12 cans in each pack. Each pack is £3. What is the cost of the cola? So 180 cans. We need to divide it by 12 to find out how many packs there are. So 180 divided by 12 is 15. So there are 15 packs. Each pack is £3. So 15 times 3, that will be £45. And of course, use the calculator. Ethan buys a box of 24 cans of lemonade for £7. There are 330 millilitres of lemonade in each can. Work out the cost of 100 millilitres of lemonade. So how much lemonade have we bought? We bought 24 times 330. So we have 7,920 millilitres. So 7,920 millilitres for £7, 700p. We want how much 100 costs. So what do I have to divide by to get to 100? So if I want 100 millilitres, what do I have to divide by? 7,920 divided by what number is equal to 100? I could do 7,920 divided by 100, and that will be what I have to divide by, 79.2. So I want to divide by 79.2. 79.2 divide by 79.2 divide by 79.2. So if I take 7,920 divided by 79.2, I get to 100. So I want to divide the price also by 79.2, and I get to the nearest penny. So I've got 8.8 to the nearest penny is 9 pence. What I could have also done from here, from this stage, I could have said I'll work out the cost for 1 milliliter, which would be dividing by 7,920. And then once I've got 1 milliliter, times it by 100. It's exactly the same thing, just in 2 steps. Question 19. 240 people work at a factory. Of these people, 150 have a car. So we're filling in a frequency tree. I may as well fill this in now. So 240 minus 150, which is 90, don't have a car. 110 have a bicycle. So that would be these two added together. 65 of the people who have a bicycle do not have a car. The do not have a car bicycle is 65. 110 minus 65, which is 45, must go in the other box, and then we can just work out the missing numbers. So 150 take away 45 goes in this one, and 90 take away 65 will go in here, because these two numbers, for having a bicycle and not having a bicycle, must add up to 90, and the two at the top, the people that have a car, must add up to 150. What percentage of the 150 people who have a car also have a bicycle? So have a car, have a bicycle, it's 45 people out of 150. What's that as a percentage? So to turn a fraction to a percentage, just times it by 100. So 45 out of 150, well, 3/10, so it's 30% have a bicycle. Question 20, work out the value of, so it's just a type into the calculator exactly how it looks question. So fraction button first, 25 minus square root button, 43.87. Then click out of the square root, down to the bottom, 6 plus 2.1 squared, check, they look the same, and then press equals 27923. Work out the reciprocal of 0.625. So the reciprocal, let's flip it over. So you can think of it as 0.625 over 1 to start with. So the reciprocal will be 1 over 0.625. The other thing you can do is there is a reciprocal button on the calculator, which is the power of -1. The power of -1 is the same as a reciprocal. So if you do 0.625 to the power of -1, that is the reciprocal, which is 8/5 or 1.6. You'd get the same answer by doing 1 over 0.625. Either way, 1.6. Question 21. Write 60 as a product of its prime factors. So we'll start with 60, and then we're going to break it down until we've just got prime numbers left. So we start with what two numbers multiply to make 60. We can use anything apart from 1, because that will leave it the same. So we'll do 2 30s 2 is a prime number, but we can break 30 down again. It's 2 15s. 2 is prime, and we can break 15 down again into 3 times 5, and they're both prime. So 60 is the same as 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 makes 60. And if we get 60 in the answer area, and then press the fact button, shift fact, we get the answer. So 2 squared times 3 times 5. Question 22. There are only 48 counters in a bag. There are only red counters and blue counters. The ratio of red to blue is 1 to 2. Helen has to work out how many red there are. She said so there are 24 red counters because a half, 1 is half of 2 and 24 is half of 48. Is Helen correct? You must give a reason for your answer. So it isn't half. It's a ratio of 1 to 2. So for every 1 red, there are 2 blue counters. So it's not half the counters that are red. It is, in fact, a third. A third of the counters are red, not 1/2. So it should be a third of 48, which is 48 divided by 3, which is 16. 16 red, and then 2 16s, 32 blue. Question 23. N is bigger or equal to -2 and less than 5. It's an integer. That means it's a whole number. Write down the greatest possible value. So it can't equal 5 because it hasn't got the or equal. So the biggest thing it can be is 4 because it's less than 5. So the biggest thing it can be is 4. Show the inequality on the number line. M is bigger than or equal to -4 and less than 1. So I'm going to do a circle at -4, a circle at 1. Because it can equal -4, we colour in the circle at -4 and we just draw a line between the 2 circles. Part C, solve. 2/5 of g minus 4 is less than 6. So we're just getting g by itself. So that's plus 4 to both sides. 2/5 of g is less than 6 plus 4 is 10. Let's times both sides by 5. So 2g is less than 50. And then half both sides. G is less than 25. So g can be anything less than 25. And it would make this statement true. As soon as you get to 25, it will be false. So anything 25 or bigger would make this statement not true. Question 24. We've got a triangle and a rectangle. The area of the triangle is 10 centimeters squared more than the rectangle. Work out the value of x. So we have to make this into an equation. The area of the triangle is half times the base times the height. Half of 8 is 4. So it's 4 times 6x. 4 6s are 24. So the area of the triangle is 24x. The area of the rectangle is just base times height. So 5 times 4x minus 1. If we expand it, 5 times 4x is 20x. 5 times -1 is -5. So let's make it into an equation now. The triangle is 10 more than the rectangle. So the triangle, take away 10, must equal the rectangle. So now we've got an equation we can solve. When we've got an x on both sides, we want to get rid of the smallest x first. So take away 20x from both sides. So 4x minus 10 is equal to negative 5. Then plus 10 to both sides. We want x by itself now. Get rid of the 10. To get rid of a minus, we plus. So 4x is equal to negative 5 plus 10, which is 5. And then divide by 4 to get x by itself. So 5 divided by 4, which is 1.25. Question 25. Last year, a family recycled 800 kilograms of household waste. 57% was paper and glass. And we've got a ratio of paper to glass. So let's work out how much is paper and glass. So 57% of 800. We can do 57% times 800. Wherever we've got of, it means times. So 57% times 800. You can also write that as 0.57 times 800 or 57 hundredths. 0.57 times 800 is 456. Okay, and now we've got a ratio. The weight of paper to glass is 12 to 7. So 12 to 7, that means we've got 19 parts. So 12 parts and 7 parts, add them together, that's 19 parts. So let's find one part by dividing it by 19. And that is 24 kilograms. So each part is 24 kilograms. So for paper, we've got 12 24s. Glass, we've got 7 24s. We only want the glass. So it's 7 24s. And that is 168. 168 kilograms. 26. A number D is rounded to one decimal place. The result is 12.7. Complete the error interval. So if we're at 12.7, the one up is 12.8, the one down is 12.6. And to round to 12.7, we have to be in between these two midpoints. So halfway between 12.6 and 12.7, 12.65. Halfway between 12.7 and 12.8, 12.75. And note that it can equal 12.65. So it has got the or equal sign, but it hasn't got the or equal sign on the 12.75. Question 27. Tamsin buys a house for 150,000. The value increases by 4% each year. Rachel buys a house for 160,000. The value increases by 1.5% each year. At the end of 2 years, whose house has the greater value? So if I want to add on 4% twice, I can do it in one calculation. So if I want 100%, which is my original, my 150,000, add on 4%, that means I'm working out 104%. And I can do that by timesing by 104%, or as a decimal, 1.04. So I can add on 4% in one calculation by multiplying by 1.04. I want to do that twice for 2 years. So times 1.04 times 1.04 again, and I'll write that as squared. So 150,000 times 1.04 squared, 162,240 pounds for Tamsin's house. For Rachel's house, it's 160,000. And I'm adding on 1.5%. So I want 101.5%. As a decimal, that's 1.015. And again, I'm adding on 1.5% 2 times. So I'll do squared, 2 years. And that's 164 836. So whose house is worth more value? Rachel's house. Question 28. Here are 5 graphs and 5 equations. We need to match them together. So the first one is a straight line graph, which is in the form y equals mx plus c. It's got a negative gradient, so it's going down. For every one it goes across, it goes down. So it's going to have a negative gradient. And D is also a straight line graph, but that one will have a positive gradient. So let's have a look. Where are the straight line graphs? So y equals x plus 3. It's got a positive gradient. That must be D. Positive, negative. And 5 minus 2x, that's a negative gradient. That must be A. Graph B is a quadratic. That's a y equals x squared graph, some kind of x squared graph. That's the only x squared graph here. It's a positive x squared. And it is this one, the x squared graph. C is a reciprocal graph, something like 1 over x or 2 over x or something like that, a reciprocal graph, which is that one, 1 over x. And E is a cubic, something x cubed, something like x cubed, and it's the only one left, so it is that one.